Betsy Devos, former education secretary under President Trump and author of Hostages No More, The Fight for Education Freedom and the Future of the American Child. Betsy, great to see you. Thank you for being here. You're talking to a former school teacher, so when I see that the reputation has plummeted, it bothers me a lot. But what bothers me even more is that the test scores and the quality of education has plummeted. Why do you think that is?
Well, David, the lockdowns and all of the machinations of the last 2 years, we've seen laid bare the failings of the system, many of which were there well before the pandemic. Looking at test scores before the pandemic, we knew many kids were in trouble. It's something that I've been working on for more than 3 decades to switch the power from teachers' unions and the system to parents, families, and kids to be able to make those decisions. But these failings were laid bare in a way that was unprecedented. And folks across the country are acknowledging this, and that is why the confidence has plummeted so much, right along with the test scores of kids whose schools didn't open for months, if not years on end.
Yeah. And now, even though it's only a couple of months since the unofficial end of the pandemic, you have all this revisionist talk from the teachers' unions themselves claiming that they're the ones who stopped the lockdown, that they were the ones who never wanted a lockdown and never wanted to close the schools. And Randi Weingarten, the head of the American Federation of Teachers, actually pinpointed you in a letter she wrote to the Wall Street Journal as one of those responsible for the lockdown. She said, "No teacher I know enjoyed remote and hybrid learning, which pre-pandemic was championed by Betsy Devos. Not one teacher relished teaching art class via Zoom to 40 pupils." She goes on, but the bottom line is this is totally revisionist of what the teachers' unions were actually doing. They were the ones that were kind of using the lockdowns as leverage to get more money from the federal government, no?
That's right. That's right. This was all about power and control. It continues to be about power and control, and she's trying to revise the history. She seems to conveniently forget the fact that within 30 days of schools shutting down in March of 2020, my team and I had gotten all the funds originally appropriated, $30 billion out to schools within 30 days. I quickly heard from many school leaders that they had more funds than they knew what to do with. This is not about the money ultimately. It continues to be about an agenda-driven school teachers union that is bent on power and control themselves. We saw Randi Weingarten strong-arming the CDC to revise their recommendations to keep schools closed longer. We have got to turn this around to parents and empower them to make decisions on behalf of their kids, as millions have already today. Yeah. More than 2 million kids have left the public schools. Families that can afford it are finding other options. We need to make sure all families can make that same choice.
Well, by the way, parents are going to need backbone because they're under attack by these unions. In fact, we just found out that in California, there was a teachers union that was taking names of those parents. They were actually spying on San Diego parents who were suing to reopen schools that were closed by the unions. So, I mean, not only are they doing revisionist history, but they were actually spying on parents who were in favor of opening the schools as opposed to the wishes of the union.
That's right. That's right. And I just want to say that this is not about the great teachers, so many of whom really did work valiantly on behalf of the kids they're trying to serve. It really is about a system that is controlled by the school unions, the teachers unions, and then all of their allied organizations. They have given 99% of all their funds, their political funds, to Democrat members of Congress and the current administration, and they continue to do their bidding, to continue to give them more and more say, more and more power and control at the expense of the kids who are literally failing to learn. And again, this is just untenable. We've got to change that power dynamic and put it in the hands of families.
Well, people like you and the great Darla Rumfo, who I know is a mutual friend, and other people who are pushing for school choice are saying this, trying to empower the parents. And then you have a governor in Virginia who comes in with a whole new crew who's trying to change things. Do you think Do you see now the beginning of the change, the beginning of a turn, despite their power, despite the money of the teachers union, that parents are beginning to take control again and getting support from people like Governor Youngkin?
Yes, yes, indeed. In fact, the momentum is building across the country. Just in the last year, 26 states either expanded school choice programs they already had or they created new ones. And that momentum is continuing to build because families are demanding it. You know, it's supported by 3 out of 4 Americans. So any politician, any elected official who doesn't pay attention to what parents want for their kids and do the best thing for kids, they're going to ultimately pay the price.
On the other hand, I don't want to get cynical about all this, but Senator Cory Booker, I got to bring him up because he's in your book, by the way. And the fact is that when he was mayor of Newark, New Jersey, a tough school, he understood that poor people had no choice with school, and he was in favor of school choice. You guys worked together when he was mayor. Then he became senator, and everything changed, right?
And then he wanted to run for president, and he literally said he was taken to the broom closet by the teachers union bosses and had to change his position. It was really, really regrettable, and I really feel badly about and for him for making that switch. He was such a great champion for kids and for families, and I hope that he will eventually come around and see the importance of supporting families in their pursuit of their kids' education.
I hope so. On the other hand, once you lose your backbone, it's hard to find it again. So, but hope springs eternal. Let's hope so. Betsy DeVos, thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.